We finally have a response from Squarespace about their Core Web Vitals update. I can't frickin' believe it's taken this frickin' long to hear something from Squarespace themselves, somewhat publicly. But I wouldn't even say that this is public. Okay? This is ridiculous. I'm going to try to center myself as I go over what it is that they said and show you an update as to what's going on my client sites, one on Squarespace 7.0, one on Squarespace 7.1, so you can kind of see what's happening in real world. And I would love for you to share your experience down in the comments below, what's happening to your site. Tell me what's going on in Search Console. What is the page experience that your users are having in the real world? Okay. So what am I talking about here? Squarespace finally announced yesterday at 11:05 Tuesday, or sorry, that would have been a Monday, July 26, 2021, almost a month, a little over a month past when Google released the Core Web Vital update onto Google itself. So they're a little late to make a public announcement. But anyways, nonetheless, let's just go through it really quick. This was also on Squarespace Circle form, so it's not really public. You only have access to it if you've made 3 or more websites with one account on Squarespace. So it's not really public, which I'm kind of pissed off about. This should be public knowledge for everybody to know, even if you only have one site. You should know this. I digress. So this is from a guy named Tom. Remember Tom, our first friend on MySpace back in the day? Hey, Tom. He is the engineering manager for the web performance team at Squarespace. So his team works solely on the performance of the products. That includes the website editor and other tools perform well for all users, as well as ensuring that websites built on Squarespace load quickly and provide great experiences for your visitors. Now, he's going to share his perspective on Google's SEO changes around performance and what Squarespace has done, as well as some things to be aware of as you build your own sites, because Lord knows we can't do it all here on Squarespace. That little bit was my added bit here. This has been on the radar for a while, and we're going to get into that here in a second. Basically, he just kind of goes through what Google has already said. So this is nothing new. This is stuff you can find in Google's FAQ that they released in March. He wanted to highlight some of them just so that you would know that Google is actually going to be using this data for search, specifically for your search rankings. This data is specifically going to be taken from the Chrome User Experience Report. So this means that the information is going to be coming from users who use Chrome either on mobile or desktop, and how they interact with your site and how quickly the site loads on their browser. Okay, so this does not take data from these tools. However, I do remember, wow, nice little voice crack there. I do remember back in, I believe it was March, maybe it was May or June, I can't remember, when they pushed the rollout. It was going to be like spring, and then they pushed it to mid-June. Google specifically said if there is no real-world data available, they will use the testing tools data. Okay, so just something to think about in the back of your mind. If it's a new website that doesn't have a lot of traffic, you get what I'm saying? You got to somehow feed it with a lot of traffic so that it gets better real-world user experience scores. Okay. Better known as field data. So Lighthouse, which is the lab simulated page load, is not the ranking factor. So they want to make that very clear, because your scores on Squarespace will be in the poo-poo bucket. Seriously, it's garbage. On Lighthouse anyways. On all these testing scores, on all these testing platforms, your scores will be garbage on mobile. Desktop, they're okay. Okay. So your SEO relevant scores are based on your own real users' experience. Google has set goals for the 75th percentile of your users to meet. So, in other words, Google is going to judge the website based on how the majority of real-world users experience it. So it's not going to be, they're going to ignore the data from the small selection of people if they have worse experiences. Okay. You can see this for yourself in Google Search Console in the Page Experience and Core Web Vitals tab. I will show you where that is in your Search Console in just a moment. So that's where you can actually see what your URLs are saying, what the real world data is, and if any of them need improvement. Another way is if you go to the PageSpeed Insights, Google's PageSpeed Insights, just Google PageSpeed Insights, you will get this and you can test both for mobile and desktop. And it'll give you 2 separate scores here with the tools. And then right underneath it here, there will be the field data. As you can see, very small here. I'll kind of zoom in there if I can. Field data. So as you can see, the lab score is 53 for mobile, but if you look at the field data, it's only missing the mark on the CLS, which still means that the page does not pass Core Web Vitals assessment, okay? So while you've got 3 out of the 4 things are green, good to go, you're still missing the box here, okay? So in mobile is most important because most people are on their phone and Google prioritizes mobile indexing first. Okay. Now, this is on their demo of one of their themes from their template store or templates, whatever they call them. They also want to bring up another important FAQ that relates to how this will affect current rankings. The important takeaway here is that Core Web Vitals will gradually increase importance over time, but site owners shouldn't see radical changes to their SEO at this time. However, I've seen people in the forums say that their site dropped like a rock pretty quickly. Other people on other platforms and other builders have noticed the same thing if they're not up to snuff, so to speak. So it's just something to think about. I mean, if you got like top tier content on page 1 of Google from multiple URLs, multiple sources, and this thing rolls out and there's a few that are slower than others, Google's going to prioritize the faster ones for mobile user experience. Game over, end of story. They want people to have a good experience with Google. If they're not, it's going to happen naturally because people are going to click on the link that's slow, not want to wait, go back to Google and go to the faster one, go to the next one in the selection, hoping it will load faster. So then that just happens naturally without speed being a factor or without the score being a factor. Sorry, kind of a side tangent, just something to think about. Now, here is what Squarespace themselves have done to improve their platform. Since the November announcement in 2020 for the Core Web Vitals inclusion in SEO, Squarespace has been focused on website performance in preparation for the launch. They've made significant progress in that time, with more than 3 times more Squarespace origins hitting all CWV, Core Web Vitals. So before I continue, I don't really understand this little statement right here. This, with more than 3 times more Squarespace origins hitting all CWV. 3 times more. Let's say that like 5% of your websites were hitting all Core Web Vitals. 3 times that is not that much more. It's only 15%. So, I don't know. It sounds like, oh yeah, 3 times more, 3x, all right. But if it's a small number to begin with, it's like kind of no bueno. I don't know. Maybe the number was bigger. It would have been nice if they said like what percentage it was instead of just saying 3 times more. It's a very arbitrary number. We don't know what that means unless we knew what the beginning number and the end number was. Hello. So they removed render blocking resources from JavaScript, lazy loading images across websites, implementing a certain type of compression for browsers that support it, so not all browsers, making more JavaScript and CSS load contextually, in other words, in the order that you need it, adding source set image loading, and reducing a small number of issues that caused most of our layout shifts. We have much more to come, specifically improving how we load images and serve JavaScript and CSS. These are the 2 biggest bottlenecks that Squarespace faces, is JavaScript and CSS. Along with images, they are getting better about that, but it's still a problem. You can look out for updates in the coming weeks. I don't know if they're going to announce that they did this update or if it's just going to be like a quiet little... Please keep in mind that some of these improvements that they're working on will not impact performance of 7.0 sites. So we strongly encourage you to choose 7.1 for new projects. So they're not putting a lot of work. They're putting some. Keep in mind that some of the improvements, so some of them are not going into 7.0, which is too bad because 7.0 is pretty good. Sometimes, I go back and forth between the two for clients. I can't really make up my mind. Sometimes I hate 7.0. Sometimes I love 7.0. Sometimes I hate 7.1 and love 7.1. So it's kind of just back and forth. You don't know which one you like. They kind of have the pros and cons. So they're going to continue to improve, but there are some things that can really improve performance that are directly in your control. It's in your hands now. You hear that? So, and here is some site building recommendations, which I might get a little angry with as we go through here, but I'm going to just try to briefly go through it as quickly as I can. Okay. So, basically, most of these are just like across the board. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. You need to take these things into consideration. Okay. So a part of their efforts this year will be exploring ways to provide better guidance and support and options as you build the pages. But here are some top-level things to be wary that can contribute to poor performance on your website, some of which you may be familiar with already. If you followed this channel for a little bit, you know that I've got videos on how to do some of this stuff. PNGs, GIFs, and other large image formats are no bueno. Using lossless and uncompressed image formats, i.e. not JPEG. JPEG is the best. Whoopsies. But sometimes you can't use JPEG, okay? You can't use JPEG if you have an image that has a transparent background, like a logo. So you have to use PNG. You just have to make sure you compress the living hell out of it and only make it as big as you need it to be. But that's a problem when people have different screen sizes. Again, going off on a little rant here. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to. Just pisses me off sometimes. Okay. So always check to make sure that the format before you upload your photos and change them if needed. GIFs, PNGs, watch out for those screenshots, and other large formats will slow your site down. Google has a free open source web app for converting and compressing images called Squoosh, Squoosh, which they highly recommend. It's easy to use and provides a visual preview. It works on your phone's browser too. Who the hell would want to use your phone? Anyways, don't try to build your website on your phone. You're going to be pissed off the whole time. Okay, so WebP is a format that is very interesting, and we have been evaluating. They are generally much smaller than JPEG and can support transparency and animation. Woo! All right, we like that. Yeah, transparency and animation. That way we can actually have GIFs and transparent images like our logos and stuff. So maybe they're going to be putting that in there. That'd be good because it's supported already on WordPress, and I think some other I think it's supported on Webflow. Maybe, I don't know. Don't hate me if I said that wrong. Anyways, SVG vector images can provide performance improvements in some context, but given its performance gains relative to other work, we don't have any plans to provide the ability to upload SVG at this time. Bah. I'm upset about that. Come on, bruh. SVGs are legit, okay? They can make your site so much faster if you have an SVG logo. It's amazing what just like the logo of a website will do if you make it an SVG. You can't do that in Squarespace. But if you look in my videos, maybe I'll put a little like link somewhere up here or in the description to upload an SVG to your website if you want it as an icon in your page in your text. But you have to do some custom coding there. So, just be forewarned there. You got to put in some HTML and some CSS and kind of play with some stuff. But it's possible to do that for an icon. Now, clearly they don't want you to be able to do that. They don't think that you should be able to do that. But there's a workaround. You just can't do it for logos or background images or your standard images, anything like that. So the next thing is web fonts. Now, this is a thing on anything that you use. If you have too many web fonts, if you have too many fonts, you're going to be slowing down your site. Even if you use like a bold font and a non-bold font, you're going to be having, or font weight, I should say, then you are going to be having 2 different fonts loading. Some websites have a ridiculous number of fonts loading. You should only do the basic ones like freaking Arial and Times Roman, like just super simple, like the ones that come on everybody's computer and nobody has to load extra fonts. Okay, just pick the simplest one, unless you got some really custom stuff going on there and you can't have your brand without it. I understand that, but just try to minimize it as much as possible. Try to use the built-in fonts and try to use 1, maybe 2, but again, that's going to have a cost. You can check this out, by your inspector, or if you do Lighthouse page inspect, you're going to be, or when you do the Lighthouse performance score review web.dev and get the page score, you'll get all that. And then this one just pisses me off here. More content on a page will inherently make the page load slower. Lighthouse has some audits that provide analogs of this, such as excessive DOM size and overload payload. Performance is part of a larger experience, so the balance of content, information, architecture, speed, and other factors is subjective and can vary based on your goals. This is just a garbage statement. I don't know. I disagree with this. Sometimes you need more content, and content can include images and words. And having more images on a website should not impact the page loading experience. As long as it is below the fold and you are lazy loading images and those images are compressed, it should not impact the speed of the site. Okay? I can do this on my WordPress website with the blazing fast Carbonate WordPress theme, and I can put in as many images as I want, and as long as I got them all optimized, and boom, I'm good to go. Page speed score will be 100, maybe 99. Okay, that should not be a problem. If you're uploading videos, if you're using YouTube, make sure that you use the YouTube thumbnail. You put in your own YouTube thumbnail. That way it loads the thumbnail first, and then you have to click on it in order for it to load the video. That's regardless. You can look at my other videos for that. But this is just, I just don't like this comment about content. That just pisses me off. And then the next final comment is about code injection, developer mode, etc. So if you use code injection or developer mode to add or modify functionality on your website, in other words, if you're trying to make your website more unique and stand out on the crowd of sameness, make sure you're aware of what you're adding to the page load. You can easily pull in a lot of extra resources from other servers using drop-in solutions. Now, there's no doubt about this. Most of the time when you're adding functionality, you're adding extra JavaScript or CSS, and that can add on some weight. You can check the network tab in Chrome Dev or your site's Lighthouse reports. You may unknowingly introduce connection latencies, blocking resources, or resource prioritization disruption to your pages. If you can use built-in Squarespace functionality to achieve a design, it will reduce dependencies. But sometimes you want custom stuff. Anyways, so this was reposted yesterday at 11 o'clock, and it is now the next day at 5 p.m., and there have been a lot of comments from other Circle members, other web designers, developers, SEOs, and they've asked a lot more follow-up questions just to get some clarity, and there has been no response from Squarespace. So I'll let you know if we hear another update, because I'd be curious to know. I hope that they reply. I hope that this isn't just another radio silence thing where they just go, oh, well, if we don't say anything, then it won't impact our stock price on Wall Street. Okay. Yeah, that just pisses me off, man. I'm glad I didn't buy any stock in Squarespace. I almost did. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you some real examples of 2 Squarespace websites, one is 7.0, one is 7.1, so you can see the differences between the 2. Squarespace 7.0 is rocking it. 15 good URLs, no poor URLs, no URLs that need improvement, both on mobile and desktop. We like to see that. All green, baby. We like those greenbacks. Give me that green. Give me that green. Now let me show you another one on 7.1. Ouch. Oh. Now, this site gets 95% of its traffic from mobile. That's why there's not enough data here for desktop. But check this little guy out right here. What? We went to good URLs all of a sudden. Out of nowhere, from April until July, we got some good URLs, all right. And then on mobile, we went from poor URLs to URLs need improvement. Good job. Good job. We did it. We're making progress, man. I would love to see this go to good URLs, but you know, I can't hold my breath quite yet. The page experience, nothing. Still nothing here. Yeah. Mobile usability, only one failing URL, so that's okay, I guess. And then if we go back here to 88.9% good URLs on the Squarespace 7.0 site, and no issues detected with the Core Web Vitals. So again, if you don't have Google Search Console set up, what are you doing? Go set it up right now. Close out this video, search how to set up Google Search Console on Squarespace. It's super easy, it connects right away. But on the side here, on the left-hand side, you've got this menu over here, and you've got your page experience. Click on that, and then you can see Core Web Vitals, mobile usability, and you can dive into those more here. This is going to be your real-world data, okay? This is going to be what is actually impacting or not impacting your site ranking. I hope I rambled on enough here and provided you a little bit of insight as to what the hell Squarespace is doing behind the scenes. If you have any input, let me know what you've heard so far. Let me know what your website's doing down below. I'd be really curious because, you know, I'm kind of done with Squarespace. I'm not using it anymore on SwearingWebStudio.com. We migrated off of that because, you know what? We're just done with it. We're graduating and moving on. Back to WordPress. I thought Squarespace was going to be my final, you know, true love, but just didn't turn out to be the case. I tried and I did everything I could, and it just wasn't meant to be. So I'm with Carbonate now. Carbonate on WordPress, the world's fastest WordPress theme. It loads my site like crazy fast. It's nuts. And, you know, if you're interested in how to move your Squarespace website over to this blazing fast Carbonate website, I do have a course coming out here soon that is going to show you exactly how to do that without impacting your SEO and keeping your rankings on that, as well as, you know, kind of holding your hand through that process. So if you're interested in that, let me know. You can pre-order it pretty soon here. It'll be dropping soon. But in the meantime, I'm glad to see that Squarespace has actually taken the time to let us know what the hell's going on a month after Google released this update. And we've kind of just been wondering, what's going on over there in Squarespace? I don't know, but my website is not very happy. I don't know. I don't know. I'll just sit here and wait for Squarespace to do stuff. No, forget that, man. I'm taking back control, baby. Taking back control of my website, damn it. Sorry. I'm getting upset. And this is time to end it because clearly I can't hold it together any longer. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see the next updates and, you know, future updates. Hit the bell notification. That way you don't miss out on another Squarespace blunder or, you know, web design, you know, fun stuff. Anyways, if you liked it, you didn't like it, whatever. Peace.